All right, so we're hopping back to Chapter 7, Section 4. Now we've done all of Chapter 8 and make some of these problems easier once we get to the systems at the end. So partial fractions is this section. So sometime in algebra, we'll say algebra 2, maybe algebra 1, who knows. You learned how to take this guy and turn it into this. So you had to find a common denominator, multiply both sides by that common denominator, combine stuff, and then you got this magically. So in partial fractions, we go from the right side, we go from knowing this guy, and we break it up into these partial fractions that sum together to give us our original guy. So if you're moving on to calculus next year, when you are integrating stuff, it's really helpful to know the partial fractions for when you're integrating. And everybody else, it's just kind of cool to see how fractions sum together and can be broken down. So to do it, there are several steps. Step 1, if we have an improper fraction, so long ago you thought improper fractions were stuff like this, where the numerator was larger than the denominator. That's true. But this is also an example of an improper fraction. The degree of the top is greater than the bottom. So if that's the case, we have to divide using either long or synthetic division and then work with our remainder. If we don't have an improper fraction, that's the dream, we factor it completely, the denominator, if it's not already been factored. And then step 3, if we have linear factors in the denominator, the numerator is just a single number. So a sub 1's a number, a sub 2's a number, a sub m's a number. I need a different letter. So normally we'd call this guy A, this guy B, this guy Z, who knows. I need a different letter for each numerator of each different fraction. If I have repeated fractions, and you'll see tons of examples of these, but if I have 3x plus 2 to the third, I need a fraction for each of those powers. So that's why this one says px plus q to the first, px plus q to the second, all the way up to whatever the exponent of that factor, I almost said fraction, is. If my denominators are quadratic, which means they have an x squared, then my numerator has to be linear. So again, lots of different steps. This will be the first video so that you can refer back to it, and then I will refer back to these 4 steps in every example that I do. If you do have a textbook, this list is on page 502 in your book. So in your online book, you can refer to these 4 steps whenever you want.